Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's session. Today, we are going to talk about a very exciting topic, platform engineering. But before we do that, I would like to introduce myself. People who don't know me, I'm the founder for the Canada DevOps community of practice. We have several chapters in Montreal, Toronto, Atlantic provinces, Edmonton. So, if you have not joined us yet, I would request you to have a look at our events. Our events are both hybrid as well as face to face. So, check out what our community is doing in this space. What we do in this community is we take several dialogues around DevOps, high-tech space, cloud technologies, and how the tools and processes are changing along with the technology evolution. I am also the ambassador chair for the Continuous Delivery Foundation. If you're interested into open source and continuous delivery together, I think that is one of the exciting spaces you should check out. One of my books, which I'm writing right now, will be out in July. So if you're interested to know how to strategize continuous delivery in cloud, that is one of the books which will be out in July. I've also done some, contributed to some courses. I've authored some skill books for DevOps Institute. So today I'm going to talk about platform engineering. And why did we pick this topic up in the community is that we see there is a lot of dialogue interaction happening around platform engineering. Some people are very excited about platform engineering, like all of us, that how it can change the leader's paradigm for people like us who are facing talent shortage, who are trying to optimize how we would like to kind of converge our DevOps continuous engineering dialogue into one context, because there is a lot happening, and there has a lot happened in this space in the past decade. Some people are also kind of curious to know if this would take over as future of DevOps. So let's dig deeper into this. These are collection of thoughts, and this input which I'm providing you today is curated content from various tech leaders, which I bring to you today. So platform engineering, what basically platform engineering, and why people are excited about it. There has been attraction since 2-3 years around this topic, and I think more perspective was built through Gartner on this. When Gartner produced this report in 2022, and it outlined platform engineering as one of the emerging disciplines focused on enhancing developer productivity by reducing the complexity and uncertainty of modern software delivery. So people who have been working in DevOps space would know there is a plethora of tools, applications existing today in that space. We also have several cloud providers which offer marketplace solutions, right? So it's not very easy to navigate that space as we go along. The complexity is increasing. Now, what Gartner had described is, it describes the practice of building and maintaining an integrated product, which is called internal developer platform. And that is one of the core component of platform engineering. So platform engineering implements reusable tools and self-serving capabilities with automated infrastructure operations and improving developer experience and productivity. This technology approaches and utilizes reusable configuration applications and components and services. The benefit to the user is they have standardized tools, components, and automated processes. Now, let's also take a deeper insight into when do you need platform engineering. So if you are starting up your journey with DevOps, necessarily it's not for you. I would suggest there are 4 points which you could look at. So from a cost model perspective, if you have a complicated cost model to deal with in your organization, the organization has become OPEX heavy, and it is hard time for all the leaders to keep track of the cost. Then this is one thing which you can start looking at, how this platform engineering concept, product, and technology could help you in that direction. Security requirements. If you have mission critical infrastructure or advanced security requirements and enhanced posture of security that compel an organization to move to platform engineering, then you should try to look into it with a deeper insight. Underlying infrastructure. I would also outline that you work with complex infrastructure. You have heavy applications which rely on infrastructure which is hybrid, complex. Infrastructure is there are several teams working on infrastructure. Then this is one of the spaces you should look for. DevOps is scale. If you have passed that stage of you build it, you run it, then probably platform engineering is something you should look into and see how it can optimize scaling of DevOps and not redoing every time you start up a DevOps initiative in an organization. Another perspective which I would like to highlight is from Daniel's keynote session at the Platform Con 2022. He talks about cognitive load. And people who have spent like a decade or two in technology space would appreciate that. When you were a developer, let's say in 2000s, you had specific choices of like what kind of tools you had, what kind of infrastructure you had, what was the developer responsibility. It was very, very specific. Developers were writing code, right? But in 2020, with DevOps and everything around it, I think this space has become very, very complicated with number of tools, applications, and the developer responsibility also getting enhanced. A developer today has several hats. So I think the cognitive load for people working in that space, if you're a software developer, you would appreciate that, has increased substantially. As per Humanitech, cognitive load on developers constantly increased during the last 10 years. More senior developers are doing shadow ops. And you would appreciate it when you come from an organization who has started to scale DevOps, and you will see shadow ops organization everywhere. SREs are also constantly overworked and close to burnout. If you have initiated an SRE practice in your space, you would appreciate that thinking as well. Now, using a product thinking mindset approach can help you clarify what each of your internal platforms should provide depending on its customer. Now, this IDP or the internal developer platform which we are talking about, who are the customers for these development platforms? Obviously, your developers. So again, what you're trying to do is consolidate all your learning and converge them into a platform thinking which can make your developers' life easy. Now, when you dig deeper into platform engineering, there are key objectives and results. And I would outline 4 of them. There can be many more, but building an internal developers platform, an IDP, is one of the primary perspective or goal which this platform engineering bring on the table. Standardizing and securing key delivery processes. Once you start building up your IDP, you will appreciate that you will have to consolidate the process. You need to kind of ensure that you standardize a few components, the foundational layer, and also communicate to your stakeholders how this platform, how they can interact with that platform. Now, sitting and maintaining internal service level agreements also, because if you have a platform, you need to build it like a product. It should be reliable, secure, and easy to work with. and agreeing and measuring through performance metrics. So it's not something which somebody is just developing in a lab. I think we'll have to kind of make it more professional, with performance metrics, do some reviews and do retrospective on it. Now, taking a deeper insight into internal developer platform or IDP. So an IDP should be built to cover 4 components or maybe primarily 5 components. There's also role-based access control. So the 4 primary components I will talk about is application configuration management, which is managing application configuration in a dynamic, scalable and reliable way. So if you have been working in this space for some time, you would appreciate the declarative way of application configurations. So maybe you would like to have a look at that aspect. Infrastructure orchestration. Again, orchestration of your infrastructure in a dynamic and intelligent way depending on the context. So you would like to have not only utilization, performance, also cost optimization of the infrastructure you're using. Environmental management, so enable developers to create new and fully provisioned environment whenever they need. So there has to be a self-service capability. They need to kind of have templates. They need to drive a conversation around how easy provisioning of these environments is on need basis. Then deployment management, implementing and delivery pipeline for continuous delivery or continuous deployment, CI/CD. So it depends on, how do you see your CI/CD capability in that space. Maybe that's not the starting point. If you are a mature organization, you would like to have more CI/CD services and components integrated into the IDP platform. Now, coming to the last part of it is role-based access control. So manage who can do what in a scalable way. Now, the bigger question is where to start with all this, and this product thinking can take you a long time. There might be a long lead time, to embrace that idea. So some of these things can be, visualized through an internal developer portal. So if you start with a well-documented API catalog, you create a marketplace of services that execute common functionalities. So already tested and ready to use services in the service catalog, and that those services can be enriched and maintained over time to meet evolving needs of the developer. Direct access to all the usable development and management tools. Complete documentation of the infrastructure. Guidelines and best practices for new component development and monitoring and observability tools. So these are some few things which you can think about to provide in your internal developer portal, which will support the IDPs. Now, platform engineering principles. We should also talk about that because, again, the conversation of is DevOps dead and, where platform engineering fits in. I think to demystify this whole concept of platform engineering, I'll state that there are 4 things which you should try to kind of keep in mind. And this is inspired by the magic of platforms, the keynote at the PlatformCon 2022. I liked the picture on the right hand side, which depicts what your platform should have as a foundational capability and what is a hat on top of your platform. So your platform team needs to have a clear vision statement set in stone early on. Like, what is that one thing which this platform engineering would provide to your customers, which is primarily your developers. It should be seen as its own product team that builds products for internal customers and developers. We are standardizing things to boost innovation. So basically freeing up the time of the developer to do the job of creating new features. features for the product itself. Platform characteristics should embrace low friction, transparency, and shared responsibility. Taking one step forward, clear mission for platform engineering. So you think about platform engineering as product-centric mindset. So products are tangible, can be released in increments in an organization. Product also has a capex centricity in one way. So think about embracing that as well. Sourcing a product simplifies the tracking of supply chain. So it is needless to say, if every organization starts a build versus buy initiative for every tool, every component they want to have in their DevOps landscape, it gets very, very complicated and effort intensive. So again, simplifying that supply chain gap as well as securing it in one way. Licensing, subscription, ownership, all these things are component of your product thinking around platform engineering. And lastly, manage the lifetime value of the product, like platforms, its features, how to enhance that platform, continuous innovation in the platform engineering space. All that goes hand in hand with what you would do with platform engineering. Now, platform engineering or DevOps, again, there's a lot of conversation around it. So I found these bits and pieces of conversation happening in the global context. So SRE works from production backwards. DevOps works from development forward. Somewhere in the middle they meet. So what is happening today is, if you think about like mature organizations who are trying to scale DevOps, that there is a potential possibility that they're overwhelmed, because sometimes it's hard to adjust the key actions and goals based on where you start from. So if you start at the SRE end and work from production backwards, it has a different set of objectives. When you start to try it from the developer end, it becomes a little like different in visualization. So I think that complexity platform engineering is trying to get rid of. Platform engineering is what happens when DevOps engineers and SREs start talking to each other. Different teams solving the same DevOps problem again and again is wasteful. And when you need to scale it in an organization, look into platform engineering. Now, I would also talk about platform engineering and DevOps engineers. So now there's another term, platform engineering. We are all overwhelmed. So what these platform engineers will do? So there was a very good blog written by Charity, which I would like to bring forward. Platform engineering engineers, what they do and what DevOps engineers would do. So the expectation is the platform teams are typically staffed by engineers who are comfortable writing software because it's a product. Platform teams are oriented around providing good experience for developers to self-serve and self-manage their code. Now, if you take a deeper look into it, the development style from a product engineer perspective is infrastructure is a product, whereas a DevOps engineer would say infrastructure is a code. So that mindset needs to kind of shift a little bit towards product thinking. Another example is when you start with platform engineering, you have to gather product requirements, do user research, architecture decisions or discussions are mandatory to have. Optimization of internal workflows, researching new tools and developer productivity ideas, reviewing other teams' differences for impact, performance tuning, helping other engineers own and scale their code, fixing CI/CD pipeline. These are the kind of key tasks which a platform engineer has to embrace. Now, when you talk about DevOps engineers, they started with a very, very different perspective altogether. The collaboration between developers and operations team, how to actually make your infrastructure space more agile, more incremental. Then, there were practices like CI/CD practices, which were also facilitating speed and, meantime to repair, recover, all those kind of things. So think about that. When you think about platform engineering, what he or she would be responsible for with enabling internal teams to self-serve, their ability to run and own their code in production, creating standards, reusable components and processes, defining the golden paths. Now, when you talk about DevOps engineers, it looked like a little different because of the nature of the work they were doing. They were innovating that space in order to embrace agility, right? So there were like performance tuning, upgrading, reliability questions, resiliency questions, how to set up your SLOs, SLIs, how to do, how to move from monitoring to observability, delivering quality experience to the customers, all that. So let's kind of move on from that topic and embrace platform engineering with DevOps. Now, answering that bigger question about, whether DevOps is dead and, how platform engineering will take over the world, I think my take on this is implementing and adopting practices to accelerate software development. There are 3 of them which are very, very essential: Agile, DevOps, and SRE. I would term them as practices because they have, over the time period, they have matured. There is a common global vocabulary for them, and there are like de facto standards, certifications available. Now, from the platform engineering perspective, the ease of integration with partners and customers, use of APIs as a communication tool to create service catalogs, enriching it and keeping it up to date. All this cannot happen without agile thinking, DevOps, and SRE practices. Avoiding technological or business lock-ins, identifying solutions that make it easy for you to switch providers and retain full ownership of your artifacts. So think about interoperability, think about hybrid architectures, think about abstraction layers, think about, building that seamless experience for your development team, which is frictionless. Internal complexities should not affect the end users. That's the primary goal of platform engineering. Now, what should be the starting point for platform engineering? The million-dollar question. So when you take a deeper look into what Gartner is saying is by 2026, 80% of software engineering organizations will establish platform teams as internal providers of reusable services, components, and tools and applications. Now, how do you actually start your platform engineering journey? I would suggest that map your developer journey. Conduct research surveys to appropriately curate the set of tools and capabilities which are required. Don't expect to buy a turnkey platform. Start with internal development portals or IDPs. Aim your early platform building efforts at IDPs, since they are the most mature and well understood species of platform. And embed security into your platform. Platform must embed security into user workflows. Now, a high-level visualization provided by Gartner again from a platform delivery perspective is on the right-hand side. Now, I would end this conversation with a small snippet which I think you would appreciate. Where is DevOps in this? And I would say platform engineering is a lot like a soup. Each ingredient enhances the other. Each batch has its own characteristics and it needs time to simmer to reach full flavor. And don't forget to put DevOps in the mix. After all, it's like salt in the soup. With that, I would let you think about your next project to get you started on platform engineering. So think about the leader's role in adopting to platform engineering and long-term thinking to sustain the results. Do you think it is sustainable without agile, DevOps, and SRE practices? If so, then how would you embrace those concepts? And also think about platform engineering as one of the components in the modern software delivery projects. So let's end this session today with this point. We have other sessions lined up for this month, so please stay tuned on our channel. If you would like to subscribe, do that, as well as we have a face-to-face meetup coming in February. If you would like to subscribe to that, we have few leaders and members of the core team coming in face-to-face, where you can discuss this topic and many more topics. But for now, I would say bye and happy learning.